Let's launch a probe into it.
Welcome to Locutors of Trek Class L Probe, Ideal Trajectories. With your tonight's probers, your probers.
Indeed.
Dave and Davin, a.k.a. Plain Simple Tailors, and Quiz Admiral Ashley is here as well. So, this is the show, if you don't know, you've never been here before, where we dive deep into the topics of Debate 9, our other show where we come up with all of the greatest questions to ask ourselves about Star Trek. And here we examine some of the finer ones with a comb, if you will.
Jeffrey
Very
comb?
fine teeth. You know?
Many parts.
All right. Well,
Indeed.
we're here. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Doing all right.
Ready to talk some Star Trek.
Indeed.
Me
Indeed.
Me too. We've got
Sorry Adam can't be with us, but we'll see him next time, I hope.
Yep. Adam's falling out of the handsome tree or something. Whatever he does in his time off.
He needs a good doctor to cure his sore throat. He needs a little hypo spray.
Yeah, he
That's
does.
right.
We'll send him over to the medical division and he'll be all right. All right. Well, who should go first? These are all good.
Oh man.
How about you, Ashley?
Sure. I mean,
wait, hold on. One second. All right, we're clear.
All right, so I chose, would the Dominion beat the Borg in a full-scale war? And I like this one because, I mean, it could go either way depending on if either side set themselves up well enough to counteract the other side, because they're both like these big things that can do, they've got some good tricks up their sleeves that they can really sort of defeat the other. And I think the species 8472 versus Borg thing in Voyager was so good, and these are two big things as well. It would be an interesting thing to watch, but ultimately I feel like the Dominion would win. Because well, one, I mean, the founders can't be assimilated. They won't be assimilated. And then I feel like because the founders know so much about what's going on in the Alpha Quadrant, obviously they're already going to be aware of the Borg, and they're going to know how big of a threat the Borg is. And I think they would put in place systems so that their two main, like, defensive and offensive stuff, they wouldn't be able to be assimilated either. Like, I think they would make sure that the Vorta wouldn't be able to, or they would have some sort of defense where if the Borg tried to assimilate them, they would immediately just die. And
I could see them definitely doing that. Yeah.
And I absolutely believe,
especially with the Vorta,
right? Because the Vorta, like, they could absolutely do that. They're engineered. And then same with the Jem'Hadar. I think that they would put a way that the nanoprobes wouldn't be able to do anything to counteract the need for Ketracel White. And even if they were assimilated, they would end up dying from lack of Ketracel White, because the Borg wouldn't be able to manufacture it.
Interesting. said a lot of convincing things there on behalf of the Dominion. Strangely enough. Are you Ashley or are you changing?
That is a mighty big mug.
Yeah.
Might you spend a rest period in that mug every day?
Yeah,
kind of like the mugs they have in the Gamma Quadrant. Anyway, so I was thinking about
I got
this
it.
too.
I got it from Quarks while I was visiting Odo.
Yeah.
What?
How you doing?
Only the best purveyors of mugs.
That's right.
So
I also think that the founders have a advantage in that they're sharing. It's almost like they're sharing, not like, because they share, not the Borg share knowledge, the founders share knowledge, but they share knowledge in very different ways. The Borg shares knowledge up into the point of where they have assimilated a person or a species, but the founders, it's constantly, they're always talking to each other. There's not that hierarchy, whereas with the Borg there is. So the drones are just the drones, but when it comes to the Dominion, each of the changelings they're all one because of the big lake of goo.
The Great Lake.
Like it's almost like it's like they're quicker evolving than the Borg would be.
Maybe. So I was thinking about this too, and I was trying to figure out like what would happen in like what order in such a an invasion. So I agree with you that the founders don't have to worry about assimilation. And I didn't think of what you came up with there about them making the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta immune to that as well. I'm not convinced they could do that with the Jem'Hadar, at least not for a long time, because they have to pump out so many of them. Like they've already made like the Vorta immune to poisons and all these things, but they didn't give the Jem'Hadar that. Why not? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like,
but would the Jem'Hadar be able? Would the Jem'Hadar be able to survive? Would the nanoprobes be able to overpower their need for the Ketracel White?
Yes.
You think
they're
so?
not feeding their human drones. They're not feeding their human drones anything. Like they're not giving them an apple. Like once you're assimilated, you just persist off nanoprobes.
Yeah, I assume you've got something in your body that's going to generate nutrients into your bloodstream.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's a way to solve their problem with the white. Really, just give them the Borg nanoprobes and they won't have their white addiction anymore.
Assimilate them.
Well, yeah,
we're trading in one bad for another.
To play the Borg's buddy here in this side. There's a couple of things
I was about to do the same. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You're right.
Well, no, I was just gonna say. So I think what you end up with first is a thing where the Borg is increasing their numbers very fast with Jem'Hadar, and you're getting a lot of Jem'Hadar drones at first, and now the founders can make more Jem'Hadar, but that takes them a while. Like it's a lot faster to assimilate a Jem'Hadar than to make a Jem'Hadar. And the Borg can just assimilate from outside of the conflict as well if they want. So like they're always increasing their numbers, and the Dominion is getting smaller and smaller as this conflict goes on. And there's no end to the Borg numbers. Like comparatively, the Dominion is smaller as far as just like the Borg could just send drones at you for days, and like that's never going to stop. Like from but they're transwarp, like they could send them from the Delta Quadrant and everything. So it's like, but I could see a point where like, and I'm not convinced really that they have I think the Borg have better technology than the founders. The founders figured out how to do one thing really well, but overall, I mean, the Borg have the technology of everyone. The only thing they lack is the creativity of a non-drone, which could cost them in this conflict. Though the founders aren't particularly creative, the Vorta sort of can be. And, they can, I don't know. Who would, if they went looking for allies, who do you think the Federation would ally with first? Or the Romulans or the Klingons?
Honestly,
I mean, they
the
made
Dominion-
deals with the Borg. At least Janeway has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, it's a good question. I mean, to me, the point about the nutrient feeding or the Ketracel White stuff is, to me, where it gets really tricky, because we know that Borg ships adapt really fast. They're going to have problems fighting large scale engagements with Borg ships, just like anybody does. But they're very powerful. They've got huge fleets. They can probably at least put up a reasonable fight at that scale. But the thing that sticks out to me is that, like, how was it that the sort of alpha and beta quadrant sides won in a war with the Dominion? They didn't outfight them except right at the end. They didn't out strategize them except by putting a genetic virus into them that somehow the founders didn't notice until it had infected the Great Link. And I think the Borg could do that. I think you're right. They probably couldn't just shove nanites into the Great Link and expect it to do anything.
But the only reason
that would be just disassembled.
The only reason the Federation was able to do that is because they tricked Odo. And Odo is already allied with the Federation. Odo wouldn't ally with the Borg. So the Borg wouldn't be able to do that. The Borg wouldn't even know where the founders are, where their planet is.
Yeah, it would be a protracted struggle. I think you're absolutely right. It would be, it would be one of those ages long things.
But how many Jem'Hadar or even a Vorta, if they manage to assimilate one, would they have to assimilate before they get that information?
They would never get it from a Jem'Hadar. A Jem'Hadar doesn't know.
Yeah.
They're only told what they're told by the Vorta. The
enough.
Vorta know, but the Vorta can kill themselves in an instant.
And would.
So if they and they would
Yeah.
to protect the founders. So
I agree, they're a hard
they would.
assimilation.
I believe even if they could assimilate a Vorta, they wouldn't be able to, because if a Borg drone got close enough to assimilate it, it would just kill itself. Because it knows.
Yeah, it would be a matter of assimilating
number
other
6
species
is right
ruled by the Dominion.
Well, okay, next question
Yeah.
is then, do the Borg need to assimilate them to win a full-scale war with the Dominion? Because they only do that to, for drones, but also for, to add your biological distinctness to their own. If they don't want that anymore, they don't assimilate you anymore, they just destroy you. So they might just overwhelming numbers them. Like the Federation did that for a while. The Federation was overwhelming the Dominion, and the Dominion had to make alliances with the Cardassians and the Breen. And so could they do that again against the Borg? Would they pull the Breen in, and all of a sudden those crazy weird Breen weapons are working against the Borg?
Well, there's another question. Where is this conflict happening? Is it happening in the Gamma Quadrant? Is it happening in the Delta Quadrant? Is it happening just romping through the rest of the galaxy and destroying everything in between?
I think we can reasonably say it's happening in the Gamma Quadrant, or at least on the fringes of it, because the Borg are generally the advancing factor in any conflict. Territorial
so it's happening right by Deep Space Nine.
Right on the other side of the wormhole.
But I feel
I think we've just pitched a revisit to Deep Space Nine series,
I don't think
really excited about.
I'm all right with that.
And then can the Borg transwarp and avoid the wormhole? Because I feel like the wormhole aliens wouldn't let them through.
Well, they could be getting there anyway. Like the Gamma Quadrant and Delta Quadrant bump right up against each other.
So they could be going.
The Borg is probably slowly encroaching on it's inevitable. Eventually, the Borg will bump into the Dominion, and this what we're talking about here would happen inevitably. I mean, maybe we don't know what happens with the Dominion once Odo takes over. They probably wouldn't just go to war with the Borg. And they probably would ally with the Federation. Like, that's a whole nother thing. We're kind of talking about a Dominion under the previous regime.
Yeah, I think if this happened post Deep Space Nine ending, post Dominion war with the Federation would ally with the Dominion. Especially if Odo is there to be that's the new Cisco, right? Like he's the
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
link between them.
Yeah, and I suppose I think it would work even better in that sense if the Federation could work to assure itself that this conflict would remain like in the Gamma quadrants. And by entering into this, we can keep the Borg from coming around the other way at us again.
Right. And we know how the Dominion feels about people encroaching on their quadrant. As soon as the Borg started to enter their space, they would go full-scale war, just like they did with the Federation. Stay out of our space, and then when they didn't, they'd be like, all right, we're going after you.
Yeah. Yep. I'm still not convinced they would win in the end.
Me neither.
It might end up being like the Founders alone left.
I think the Borg is almost
I do
the
think
Founders.
the Borg can overwhelm with numbers.
I think if they did ally with the Federation, like if the Dominion allied with the Federation, they would win.
I agree.
Because look at how often we've seen the Federation beat the Borg.
They're the Achilles
all they need is Rom to come up with another excellent idea.
There's an even better candidate in that corner of space, though. They could just go ally themselves with the Saurians, and then all their problems are solved.
With Brandy.
I feel like this argument just becomes, would Rom beat the Borg in a full-scale war? And the answer is yes.
The answer is Moogie.
Moogie! That's right. Well, I like this answer that we've come to. Would the Dominion beat the Borg in full-scale war? The answer clearly is wrong.
Rom. Yeah. He is the biggest
think
lobes.
like the Borg are inevitably like the Founders' worst nightmare. They want to be left alone, and the Borg is like the one people that will never leave you alone.
Never.
So
they'll never retreat.
Like the Founders would eventually just freak out, I think, and they would have like a social collapse from just freaking out of the nonstop encroachment of the Borg. Like they freaked out in DS9 from Federation's encroachment, from just like sending a couple ships to look around through the wormhole, and the Bajorans setting up a couple of little colonies on like empty planets. Like, they thought that would they freaked out from that. Like the Borg starts coming in.
Yeah,
that's the Founders' worst nightmare.
Kind of fish.
I'd pay to watch this.
Me too. This new series. Let's go. Like, I want to see this. I want to see more. I've always wanted to see more of the Dominion, more of the planets that were under their rule, more of more of it.
Just tell the Ellisons the Borg are the good guys,
of
and
Founders
they'll like
pretending to be Borg aboard their ships or something, right? Like,
yeah. And I mean, we know that the Federation can't tell when it's a Founder. They can't tell when it's a changeling. Can the Borg?
They have those,
would they be able to? Can a changeling become human enough that the Borg can assimilate it, and then it just turns into goo and goes back to the Great Link with all of the Borg information? Everything the Borg has ever known?
I mean, that's a great story.
Right?
I want to know if that's possible. That could be the whole story. Like, we don't know if it can happen. Somebody's got to try.
Yeah.
Another thing, though, like one of the greatest weapons of the Founders is that like infiltration through disguise, but that actually has zero effect on the Borg because they let you do that anyway. You can just stroll onto a Borg ship and look around, and they don't even care. So, like, pretending to be that's not even a good tool in their toolbox, and that's their biggest weapon. So I'm gonna side with the Borg on this one. I think. Yeah. What you guys think?
I'm gonna side on the I want to see it, because I could probably argue it either way. It comes down to a lot of factors. If this, then that is what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you could game this out in a whole lot of different ways.
Yeah, and I think it could be a fun 7 seasons with 26 episodes a season watch. Please.
Absolutely.
None of this 10 episode nonsense.
That's right. Paging Paramount.
We should destroy the probe.
Oh no.
Worf says he would win the war against the Dominion. That's the data he just collected. Firing phasers, Captain. All right. So, did you guys see? Oh, did you guys come down on a side at all on this one? Or,
I think I'm going to go Dominion.
okay.
I honestly like I these points were very well made on all sides. I don't know who could do this. I think it would be one of those sort of just forever conflicts.
Yeah, it would last a very long time. A lot of lives lost.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It would just wreck both quadrants, I think.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if they
Well,
would win. Yeah, either one.
let's fire another one.
Does their possession of the spatial trajector mean that Soong-type fleshdroids will become the new Iconians? I love this because it has so many crazy words in it, first of all.
What's a spatial trajector?
The spatial trajector is a device belonging to a species that Voyager meets early on in their missions. I think it's like season 2 or 3. That allows it's sort of like a Stargate type of thing, right? You just step from one place to another. It's like a super long range teleporter or transporter. And we see one on board the Borg cube in season 1 of Picard. In fact, they use it, I think, at one point. Which means that the Borg assimilated this species whose name I've currently forgotten from Voyager.
They got to everybody in the Delta Quadrant,
right? Which, I mean, again, this right. If it's the Borg fighting the Dominion once they have a spatial trajector, that's a whole different math. But because right, it allows you to do that stuff the Iconians could do, or very.
What's an Iconian?
So the Iconians are from season 1 or 2 of TNG. There's a wonderful episode where they meet a sister ship and she ends up exploding, and they go on an archaeological chase to find the source of the Iconians' power, the demons of light and air that used to just appear in places and conquer them. And what they find is this little cool room with a set of controls that sort of fries data. And it opens up this door in space that just shows them vista after vista, and eventually even shows them the bridge of the Enterprise, and they escape after a certain while to there. So the Iconians would have been around 150,000 years ago or more, I think. They're like between the Takan Empire and the present, if I remember correctly. That might be before them. The Takan Empire was 600,000 years ago. And yeah, so I mean, the other reason this is super interesting to me, the spatial trajector is just a cool technology. That Borg cube lands on the planet that the Soong droids are living on by the end of the first season of Picard, and doesn't seem to go anywhere after that. So the reason I think this is possible is that they are created and led by a member of the Soong family who are infamously and studiously amoral.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you this. I was about to say, well, really, this just comes down to you feel like that's their motivation, and then you had to bring up Soongs, didn't you?
Yeah, this is not necessarily flesh droid hatred. This is like they are screwed because a Soong made them and still lives among them.
If this was Eric Soong, then they would definitely
Oh
be
my god,
the Iconians.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, I fear that could mean that these creatures who feel under threat from everyone else could use this technology in a way that makes them sort of the new Iconians.
Yeah.
Who are brutal conquerors in there.
Yes.
You know, demons of air and darkness sort of thing.
Well, let me think about this question. The thing about this question is the Iconians didn't seem to. Well, I mean, they disappeared somehow, but from what we know, didn't really encounter much resistance they couldn't handle. They just showed up by surprise, and that was always enough. If the fleshdroids start doing that, that's not going to be enough. There's too many capable empires out there. Like, they just show up at the Klingons, like at the drop of a hat. Like, the Klingons are always ready for a fight. Like, that's doesn't change anything for them. They weren't going to do strategy anyway. They're just like, sweet, let's go. Glory.
Sure.
We call this one the Herc 2. Let's go. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess I'm thinking
Federation, like
other than just people with a spatial trajector, right?
The Federation would adapt. The Romulans would probably adapt. Like, you know,
maybe
they'd run into more problems. So if they could they go around picking off little planets not in those empires if they wanted to? Yeah, Soong-type fleshdroids are pretty capable. I mean, they'd be a capable enemy against anyone they started doing this to. Like, you would have to assume they're more capable than the Iconians were. Like, the Iconians probably just had this one sweet technology. Maybe they were just... I would think they were probably overwhelmingly technological compared to everyone they were running into. But compared to, like, the Federation now and stuff, or in the future, our future, of course. I don't know if that's the case.
That's a good question, because part of the sort of mystique of some of those ancient cultures in Star Trek is that they do have these nearly magical type technologies. That the great planet that hides itself behind a cloaking field, or the weird guardian of the Takan Empire who can manifest into matter after 600,000 years or whatever.
The plot of Stargate, since you mentioned it. I mean, it's all about ancient races that put these Stargates on all these planets like forever ago.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, to me, they're clearly one of those sort of like Arthur C. Clarke style nods that sufficiently advanced technologies and indistinguishable from magic. So if they're to us what Picard is to the people on Mintaka 3, then I mean, I think maybe you're right. Maybe there's too big a distance for those fleshdroids to cover in the time they have, rather than just sort of getting access to this thing they didn't actually develop themselves. The development of the technology, I think, probably belies a certain mastery of things greater than just having access to it.
I think they would have a numbers issue too. Like, there's not that many of them.
Yeah.
Soong-type
yeah, fair.
And they're not easy to make. I mean, they could change that probably. That's within their grasp. One thing I would wonder, though, I would say that just having an Iconian gateway probably removes a lot of the impetus to be technologically, progressive in a lot of ways. Like, you don't need to figure out spaceship technology. You don't need to figure out all the things that go along with all the things you don't need, because you have an Iconian gateway. So it's just like, it could definitely limit your science and your technology.
Yeah, you get too reliant on it, and then maybe that's why the Iconians got destroyed.
Yeah, you would become reliant
sort of
on it.
Yeah.
Why would you start building?
Now we don't need a fleet anymore. We got these gateways now.
Yeah, and then some stupid idiot came along and had one great idea, and they're gone.
They're just going from planet to planet. All of a sudden, one of these species has spaceships, and they're like, "Shit, gateways don't go to spaceships," and they just like,
they have a what?
Yeah, that was the
just
end of the
like Stargate. They end up at a species that has a nuke and sends it up in that gateway.
Yeah, because we don't really know how the Iconians come to their end. Other than, I think maybe it says in that episode that eventually some some did manage to drive them out or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if we know much about how they meet their fate.
I don't think I'm really buying their this scenario playing out, but I will say if like a really nasty Soong took control of their direction, and given enough time, I think they would have to become reclusive for a long time and increase their numbers a lot and really figure out a plan. And I think they would probably have to avoid the Federation, the Klingons, and the Romulans for a while, and just like create a huge empire, their new Iconian empire around that. I mean, because it could be sporadic. It doesn't need to be a big chunk of territory like the other empires. They can just have little bits everywhere. And then that could be formidable in its own way. So I think given like thousands and thousands of years, they could pull off something like that if they waited thousands of years to get started.
Oh, that's an interesting.
I think it would be a very long game thing, and maybe it was for the Iconians. But yeah, like the
now
Iconians
I did do a little looking up.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, while you were talking, I did do a little looking up, and it says, at least on Memory Alpha, it points out they're presumably destroyed 200,000 years ago by orbital bombardment of their homeworld, Iconia. So precisely the strategy that was discussed here. Somebody with spaceships is going to come along and say, "Well, if I'm in space, you're not booping to my planet."
Right.
I'll poop you from space.
Exactly. So they'll have to use, yeah. Then you got to make it.
And then that's
my bridge, or whatever.
And then the galaxy becomes spaceship reliant after that, which makes sense. The
flesh droids would have an advantage in that they have the knowledge to also have spaceship. Like they would be smarter than the Iconians because they have all that knowledge. And then it just depends on if they end up being led by a lore type as opposed to a data type.
Lore is an interesting one. If lore took over,
he would
always fail
if lore took over.
Yeah.
He's a failure.
Oh, yeah.
He's so, I mean, they could try it for a while and then maybe one with a conscience, a more data type would end up defeating.
If they went for this, they would be, like you just said, Ashley, they'd be a way more dangerous version than the Iconians.
Way more dangerous.
They're just so capable. It would be horrifying.
They'd also have a Borg cube.
Yeah, in the speed at which they can process and the just the vast knowledge that they have. Yeah, you get enough of those, and they would be a threat to the Borg.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, another thing I would absolutely pay to watch.
Yeah.
We come up with all the best ideas on this show.
We're doing their pitch meetings for free. This is terrible.
Yeah.
They have the flesh droids and the Borg in the same series, and that never converged. That's what's wrong with Picard.
Yeah.
Precisely.
It should have answered all these questions for us.
That's right.
In season 4. Oh, well, we never got that season. Would have been sweet. The band was back together. Oh, well.
Well, I think we poked enough holes through this one. I think it's pretty fair to say they would have an awfully hard time becoming the new Iconians.
Yep. But if they went for it after a long wait, man, would it be a tough thing to stop them.
Yeah.
Because like Ashley said, it wouldn't be easy. You couldn't just bombard them from space. They'd be like, yeah, we're ready for that. We're better at that, actually. We're really good at that, too. Like, yeah. But no, I don't think. The Iconians were once in a blue moon kind of thing. All right, well, let's fire another probe off.
See if we can buy Worf.
We should destroy the probe.
Oh. No. He doesn't like the number ones. Try number 2. Sound more like a weapon. He likes those
It's the
ones.
prune juice.
Sounds like a torpedo. Fools him every time. All right. Well, did Archer's ordering the death of Sim represent the end of his innocence and high ideals? Ashley and I both just watched this episode.
Mhm.
What stuck out to me, I don't know about you, Ashley, but in this rewatch. Now, anyone listening probably recalls this, but this is in the Xindi War season. The best season, you could say, probably, of Enterprise. It was a pretty exciting little ride. But they have to... Trip is almost killed. They need some neurological tissue that they can only get from like a family member, but they can't get. So they know they can, but one of the weird things in Phlox's menagerie can turn into Trip for 15 days and grow up and live a life in 15 days, and then they can harvest the tissue that way. So they decide to do that, and that's already a crazy call. Now it gets crazier because, you're just giving this thing a life just to take it away shortly thereafter. And it has all of Trip's memories, so it'll feel like a real being and everything with connections to people. But what stuck out to me is in relation to this question, is it the end of his innocence and high ideals? Well, right off the top, I'm going to say I don't think it's the end of his high ideals, because it's his high ideals that make him want to form the Federation in season 4 after all this. And it's like you never take that away from Archer. He's super idealistic. But the end of his innocence, if he believes he had it, there's something he says when he's talking to T'Pol about all this. Or was it T'Pol, or was it? Yes, I think it was T'Pol. Maybe it was Phlox, but I think it was T'Pol. And she's like against it. She's like, you can't just like make a life to take it away. That's crazy. He's just like, Earth needs Enterprise and Enterprise needs Trip. It's as simple as that. It's that simple. And that's like such a crazy thing for Archer to say, because it's usually in the series up to that point, it's T'Pol telling Archer how simple everything is, and him never agreeing and saying, no, everything's actually super complicated all the time, and we have to navigate that. And he's just like, no, there's no complications here, it's that simple. And it's just like, it was such a not Archer thing to say. It was T'Pol he was saying it to that moment, because it was a complete reversal of those roles that they usually have, and they definitely did that on purpose. Like that was just like such a non-Archer thing. I feel like that was the end of something, or the change of something in Archer, because that's not how he looks at things.
No, but I think if it had been any other crew member other than Trip, he wouldn't have made that decision.
Is that because they wouldn't have been his chief engineer, or because they wouldn't have been
wouldn't have been his longtime friend? Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
Earth
think
needs
that was
the whole episode,
Trip.
he frames it that he needs his chief engineer. That's how.
That's how he's framing it. But that was an emotional decision. He didn't want to be without his best friend.
Porthos is his best friend.
Porthos' best friend is Cheese. Let's all be honest here.
All right. No, I said he was Archer with. I didn't say he was.
Oh yeah, Archer may think he's Porthos' best friend.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Yeah. Sure. He is Cheese Man after all. That does give him points.
Porthos was very happy with Sim. He was in there snuggling with him.
He replaced Archer pretty fast. Yeah, he would move on.
That's good enough.
See, that's interesting. You guys kind of didn't buy into Archer's bullshit as much as I did. I was kind of buying that he needed his engineer for this mission because he's so focused on this mission, and they've never really showed us another competent engineer on that ship.
It's not. I think it's not that he doesn't need the chief engineer. That's the pragmatic truth of the matter. But I think the deeper truth, as Ashley says, is the relational truth that Archer needs Trip.
Especially in that moment, he needs some sort of familiarity or comfort in this wild west that he's in the Xindi.
And because he's completely he's completely out of whack during the Xindi campaign. And I think it's one of the ways
he is.
that they really do a lot of interesting stuff with Archer in that season, in the sense that like sort of everybody in the ship is dealing with this scorch mark just pulled through the surface of the Earth, and yeah, it's one of those moments where it's like, we've lost so much, I can't lose this. I can't lose this guy, my friend. Yeah,
like he already lost his Trip's sister. He's just like, no, we're not losing another Trip family member today. He's like,
right.
that's, yeah, that's a good point. What do you guys think about? Do you think that marks the end of his innocence then, making that decision based on just not wanting to lose his friend? Or do you think that the act that he made, like I've argued in this, I don't know if I had to argue this in the debate 9 or if I just talked about it during our captain's rankings thing, but I argued that he had to make this decision, actually, just based on the stakes that were going on in that season. Whether it marks the end of its innocence, which I also think it does, but I still think he had to do this. Given the option that he could, he kind of had to.
Well, it does, I think, add to the tragedy of the episode that all of these things are actually true. Right? He's never really lying. He's just not saying all of it. You know? And you know, that to me is part of like the beauty of that, right? Is that, yeah, they're incredibly high stakes, right? They're completely alone out where they are when this is happening. They've got no possibility of support. They have no supply lines.
They don't know Shran is following them at this point. So they're not completely alone. Shran is following them. But they don't know.
Right? But, you know...
where's he when you need him? But anyway.
The blessed Jeffrey Combs has not yet made his reappearance by that point. So, yeah, like they're so...
Andorian mining.
They're so isolated. They're just a little crew in a bottle, you know?
Yeah.
So I think this was more personal for him and had a bigger impact for him because it was Trip, but I don't think it was the end of his innocence. I think the end of his innocence was in the episode Dear Doctor. Back in season 1. He had already had to deal with making tough decisions that weren't necessarily up to his ideals. Because in the first few episodes, he's very like, we're exploring, this is exciting. And then he comes across all of these different things where he goes, crap, this isn't just going out and meeting new people. Like, I have to make these decisions that can end lives.
Yeah.
So I think his innocence was already gone by this point. But I think this also cracked something in him. No, I think you're right about him keeping his ideal. Like, I think he knows when he needs to stray from them a bit, because we can't always, situations come up where we can't always follow exactly what we think we should. But I think you're right that he kept those ideals with the formation of the Federation and everything. Like he continues, even with all of this stuff happening and all of these decisions he has to make, he still continues to try and find the best way forward. And the most ethical way forward. He doesn't stray from that, where he continues to try and better himself. He doesn't become jaded and evil.
Yeah, he's no longer innocent, but he isn't those things either. You're right.
Right.
I think what you said there is basically true, except for maybe in the regards to the twist they throw into this episode. Does the twist make that not true, where you said that he always tries to find the best way to do something first? Like, would it have been better for him to just let Sim live? Because remember, that's what happens with the twist in this episode. They find out that they can actually let Sim live, and he has all of Trip's memories, so he is essentially Trip, but he doesn't have that friend connection that Archer has with the actual Trip. That's almost the only difference with them at that point.
Yeah, like letting him be a 5 minutes in the future Chief O'Brien.
Oh,
in a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
So is that the better way? I don't know. But I think you're mostly right, because even that episode where he threatens that guy and puts him in the airlock and stuff, he tries to convince that guy for like 25 minutes first. It's like, then he's just like, I'm sick of this guy. And then he's like, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose in that sense, the other side of the question to me is, does the end of an individual's innocence or their failing their ideals invalidate the ideals themselves necessarily? Because I think that would be the end of the high ideals, right? If in that sense he had come to some moment in all this that invalidated it somehow. And I think Ashley's right that he doesn't do that. Davin, I'm desperately curious about this finger.
You're pointing at.
Is it a number 1 for the prime directive, or is that an upside down P?
Are you pointing at your art?
I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm pointing at the art.
He's having some kind of neurological event.
Here, I'll make it bigger for a second.
Okay, yeah, make it bigger. Oh, there he is. Oh, he can live with that.
I can live with it. He can live with it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to that's what I think of when you were saying what you were just saying there, Dave. I'm just like, but
I mean, we see that with Janeway in the Tuvix episode. She also picks her friend over another's life.
Yeah.
She made that decision because she wanted Tuvok back.
Cisco actually doesn't make that call. He doesn't turn around and go back for his son when they evacuate the station. Like Cisco's like, strangely enough, he's like the father of all the captains, and he's the one that doesn't make that emotional decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
he couldn't live with that, I guess. Going back and getting everybody killed, and maybe Jake too. But yeah, interesting. But yeah, Archer definitely had a rough ride there for a while, trying to keep his. What is he fingering?
Cisco, obviously.
Cisco, right there on the screen. Oh no.
Who doesn't want to finger Cisco?
How's your cat party, Heather? Well,
oh my goodness.
Collected the data on that one. What do you think, Dave? Did you come up on your any side of? Do you think that was the end of his innocence?
Yeah, there may have been a bunch of nails in the coffin, but that may be the final one that makes sure it's shut and in the ground. Yeah.
Cat party's progressing nicely, but not nearly as fun as fingering Cisco. Well,
Nothing is.
I pick my hobbies carefully. Well, I guess that's it. Anything else anyone wants to say about stuffs or things? We'll probably have another trivia soon. What's the next trivia going to be, Ashley?
Well, I mean, we just did a TNG. I think it's time for a Deep Space Nine.
Ooh, okay. Well, sign me up.
Sign
me up.
Yeah. Maybe I may just go in order, although I'll have to go back to original series at some point. But I got some Deep Space Nine. Yep, Deep Space Nine. I have a few episodes done in emojis for Deep Space Nine, and I have a few for Voyager as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Well,
that's
look
fun.
forward to that, everybody. I'm looking forward to destroying Heather and whoever else that dares defeat or face me in the game that I never win. But this is the one.
And now is the perfect time for me to do a Deep Space Nine trivia because I am doing a rewatch. I'm rewatching from the beginning. So
right on.
I started again
Deep
too.
Space Nine right now.
Me too. I started again. I think I just got to season 3.
We have been shuffling Star Trek, so just random episodes on our thing, and then the first episode of Deep Space Nine came up, And I went, oh, that was so much fun to watch. And because the characters are just so different in the beginning. And I was like, oh, that was so fun to watch. And then I was like, well, now I need to watch the entire first season. Like, I need to watch the progression. And then as I'm going, I'm like, well, I'm just watching the whole story in order again with some shuffling in between. Because Kevin, at the end of the night, we'll just throw on a shuffle. So I'll see a season 5 episode of Deep Space Nine. And then I'll go back to season 1.
Oh, well, that works too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You might make some trivia things stand out more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Deep Space
All
Nine's
right.
awesome. I'm enjoying this rewatch again too. It never gets old for me. And you know what? You're gonna have lots of time for your rewatches, people. We're not gonna see Star Trek new again for a long time.
So sad.
Yep.
Oh, we've got a lot of Trek to digest and really think.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Might be,
At least we still have a few more episodes of Strange New Worlds coming.
Yep.
oh yeah.
And then one season of Academy coming.
One more season of Academy, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Which I bet it will be great because I quite enjoyed the first season. At least 2 of those episodes are all-time classics, I think. But
yeah,
So-
there was a couple
Academy.
I really loved.
mm,
I think my final score on the whole season as a whole was about 7 out of 10, which I think is pretty good.
it's about where it should be.
Pretty
But for a
good.
first season of Star Trek, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Especially for a
I-
first season of a Star Trek show.
Right.
Let's be honest.
yeah.
Yeah. Famously slow burns.
Especially for a first 10 episodes of a Star Trek series.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's so, we're only getting 20 episodes of the show. It's not, that's
Yeah,
not
it's a
even
lot
a
of
whole
pressure on you,
first
too.
season of some of the 90s Trek. So,
Mm-hmm.
Like getting that Doctor episode out of a first 10 episode season of a Star Trek series is pretty great.
Yes.
That Doctor episode made me cry a bunch of times. It was amazing.
that was a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
So you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back with something soon. Who knows what it'll be? You never know around here. We do all kinds of stuff. Maybe it'll be that DS9 trivia that I'm going to win. So show up to watch me win that. Locutors of Trek at gmail.com. You can send us a message there. We are a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network. And I guess there's only one thing left to say.
Indeed. And transmission.